I was watching a 2-year-old the other day, and he was just going. You know what a 2-year-old is like, especially a boy, how they just seem to go and go and go and go. And I was watching him, and his mother was watching him, and it was coming near that time for his afternoon nap, and he just the eyes started to go a little bit grumpy, and then started getting a bit grumpy, and then he climbed up on his mum and snuggled in, and it was time to stop. How are you at stopping? How are you at sort of pushing the pause button and going to rest, and particularly to sleep? Um, does the anxious mind demand resolution? Have you got that list of things that have got to be doing that just keeps on buzzing, 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 buzzing? And what about the depressed mind, the place that you might just long for some sort of comfort, some for a friend, some sort of just knowing that you're actually okay? How can you still your mind? How can you kind of bring it to a stop or a pause? I remember back at school in science classes, they had this thing called a Newton's cradle. And if you come over to the website, you'll see a picture of one of those things. But it's like a series of balls, and they hang from strings. And you pull one back, and it goes down and hits another one, and then the other side, the other one pops, and it comes down and repeats itself, and it goes click, 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 until all the energy is gone from that initial dropping, and the momentum stops, and everything just slows down and stops. And actually, in research for this particular post, I found that you can use Newton cradles to help you to get to sleep. And I've included a link to like a YouTube clip of a Newton's cradle going click, click, click. And if you listen to it as you're going to sleep, then it's meant to just give you a focus, I suppose, and just how to slow down. But um, with all the creativity that we've been given and the changes and things that we can do, we actually do need, like that 2-year-old, need to be able to come to a stop, to a pause, to rest. And it's called sleep. And it's also called Sabbath. And it's learning the rhythm of God that was meant for us to be living within. Day calls out to night, I'm ready to stop. Night allures the day and says, come to me and rest. And I think it's actually quite a practice that we actually need to learn how to do. And the busier you get, the more less able to do it sometimes. And I find that, and I think I've found from other people that centering prayer is an extremely helpful way of slowing down and finding rest. And David Benner, who I really like his writing, he writes this: centering prayer cannot be reduced to a method, but there is a framework for its practice. The framework can be summarized in two short sentences: be with God within, use a prayer word to stay and return. So that's be with God within, use a prayer word to stay and return. To expand on this slightly, let me organize the practice around four guidelines that I find helpful. 1. Select a love word or prayer for God. 2. Sit relaxed and quiet. 3. Turn your attention to the Lord present within you. And 4. Whenever you become aware of anything, gently return to the Lord with your prayer word. So, number 1, begin by selecting a word that connects you in the Lord in love, or that reminds you of your inner tension. This might be a favorite name for God: Abba, Lord Jesus, Father, love, etc. Or it might simply be a word that opens you to God, or reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. Trust, still, open, let go. Don't worry if it takes some time for you to settle on this word, but once you do, allow it to be your prayer word. It is not a magical talisman that should be expected to produce a desired spiritual effect. The word itself is neutral. It is your intent that makes it sacred. 2. Then, as you settle in your stillness, offer a brief worded prayer asking for help and declaring your intention of being present to God, who is present to you in love. 3. Now turn your heart toward God. Be open in faith and love to the one who dwells in the center of your being. You do not need to do anything to capture God's attention or love. You do not even need to think of or speak to God. Simply be with God in love. Number 4, when you become aware that you are thinking of something, regardless of whatever that might be, gently say your prayer word once as a way of releasing whatever was in your mind and returning to being with God in stillness. Do not keep repeating the word as a mantra. Just allow the single utterance of it to turn you away from the distraction and towards the Lord. Note that even thoughts about God count as distractions. This isn't time to think about God, it's simply time to be open and to be with God. Most teachers of centering prayer suggest daily centering sessions of 20 minutes. I find that when beginning the practice, 5 to 10 minutes is often sufficient. As with any form of contemplative prayer, it is important to first find a place where you can be still and uninterrupted. Although it would be hard to develop the prayer practice without some degree of silence and solitude, once the prayers become your own, you will find that it is quite possible to center yourself in God's presence, even when in the midst of the flow of a busy day. Simply draw in breath, offer your prayer word, and let go of all that swirls within you as you allow yourself to sink into God's loving presence. David Benner. Now, I might also add that those with attention deficit issues, focus on the prayer word for 30 seconds and then maybe extend it like a little millimeter the next day. Just a small amount, just enough to get your brain to a calm place. And don't judge yourself if you flit off. It's a practice, it's a skill to learn. I've also got in the blog post what research says about the benefits of meditation for ADHDers. So here's a poem, Learning How to Stop. Always distractions, always movement, always something to do. I'm learning how to stop. What will others think? What will others do? What leper on the side of the road will I miss if I don't learn how to stop? I want to hear creation's speech. I long for nighttime's knowledge. Voice that cannot be heard, seep into me as I stop. I quieten my body, I quieten my mind. For 15 seconds I will still a cup with ripples oh so fine. Focus on a word, a bridegroom coming forth, glorious in majesty. I'm learning how to stop. I listen for the whispers, a voice within the breeze, sweet flow of mystery, eternal presence inviting me to stop. I have a list, Lord, creative things to do. Isn't that what you made me for? To do what you have asked me to? Come sit beside the waters. Come fill your empty cup. There's more abundance here for you because you've learned how to stop. I'm learning how to stop, learning to listen for voice. I'm not afraid to enter that place, listening for your voice. Now, I hope you found this helpful and interesting. Perhaps you would like to email me and leave me a comment, barry@turningthepage.co.nz. Below is all the contact details and also running a course, this class this weekend about sleep. If you want to find out more, there's a link in the show notes. Okay, thanks, bye.